Please be seated. Well, all that is within me is screaming, these people want to go home. They don't want to hear from me at this hour. But I've prepared a few remarks, and I trust you will allow me to do this. I am overwhelmed, joyfully so, at the events of this evening. I'm especially grateful that Mark Ross worked it into his schedule to come from Erskine to be with us this evening and to bring us such a powerful word from the Lord. When I started at the seminary in 1995, I could not have envisioned this kind of an event. I just couldn't have envisioned it. When Bill Edgar approached me the first time about whether I was willing to be considered for the position held by Bruce Stewart at the seminary, I said no, and I think that would have been the end of the story, except for my wife was with me, and she said, you need to think about that. I think you could serve well in that capacity. And so I did think about it. I did allow my name to be considered. The Synod did elect me, but between the election and my move to seminary in mid-March of '95, those were hard years. Those are hard months for me. I couldn't believe I was leaving the people I love so much in Columbus, Indiana, to go to the seminary. And speaking of Columbus, I want to thank the Schistlers and the Planalps and Phyllis McNeely and her son Mike, who's here today, and the rest of the Indiana contingency. I truly learned about pastoral ministry while I was in the state of Indiana, and I will forever be grateful for what those men taught me. I am, of all men, most blessed. I just can't believe the Lord allowed me to use my gifts to serve the seminary these 23 years. To the extent that any of what was said tonight was true, I know this is true. It is all of grace. It is all of grace. There is nothing in me that resembles, apart from God's grace, what was said today. It's an amazing thing to be, you don't know my life history, but there were 9 years where God had to break me after graduation from college, and God did break me, and He can't use a man unless He breaks a man, and I'm thankful that God was pleased to break me, and of course, to some extent, to use me in the work of His kingdom. When I interviewed for the presidency, the board asked what was my philosophy of leadership. And I didn't have a lot of experience with such questions, but I said I quoted Teddy Roosevelt, who said, the quality of a good leader is picking good men, good women to be around you, and having the self-restraint necessary to just let them do their jobs and not be meddling all the time with what was going on in their arena. And to the extent to which the seminary has prospered these years, I really believe every one of you in this room has played a great role in this. In your prayers, God answers prayers. And I've heard people say, I heard a lawyer in Columbus say at one point in his life, he prayed twice daily for the seminary. There's somebody in this room today that lives in Utah who prays daily for me and for the seminary. God answers prayers, and he lays it on the hearts of those of you who can give to give as you see the fruit of our labors at the seminary. I really believe that I am just part of a team. I understand I played a lead role, a visible role, but everybody here is part of that team. And certainly the Board of Trustees. I've mentioned Bill Edgar and Alan Knoll and Rich Holdeman and Michael Lefebvre. All have been chairman, president of the board since I came in '95. Bill Edgar, Alan Knoll, Rich Holdeman, Michael Lefebvre. If you know those men, you understand why I have been blessed to have men I can trust to counsel with. And then the faculty. I'm going to read through some names because a lot of you will know these names, but I just want you to see the caliber of the men I mentioned here. Wayne Spear, Ed Robeson, Duncan Lowe, librarian Rachel George, librarian Tom Reed, Jim Pennington, Bill Russell, Leroy Walker, Denny Pruto, C.J. Williams, Rick Gamble, Barry York, Jack Kinnear, George Scipione, Jonathan Watt, Bruce Backenstow, Calvin Trout, Jeff Stuyvesant, Bill Glaze, Roger Woodworth, John Bauer, Mark Garcia, Mark Robinson, John Tweeddale, Andrew Cooper, even my predecessor, Bruce Stewart. Those were the men who did the real work of the classroom. And the staff, Carol Edgar, Donna Wilson, Sophie Sikowski, Kim Backenstow, Karen P.A., Matt Filbert, Marilyn Black, Grant Van Leuven, Bethany Hardwig, Paul Martin, Jack Jackson, Andrew Cooper, Keith Evans, John McCombs, Brian Wright, Mark Sampson, Sharon Sampson, Don Reed, Ed Blackwood, Josh Lamont, Scott Doherty, Clark Stockdale, Lou Hutmeyer, Judy Linhart, Jim McFarland, Heather Pinkerton Blocky, Trevor York, Vita Brown, Anna Dinkeldine, Aaron Sams, Michelle Folk, Catherine Mann, Carolyn Kane, and Sheila Lewis. Just some, that's most of the ones that were on staff with me. And the volunteers, I do not think for a second we would be where we are without the volunteers. Keith Wing in particular we wouldn't be here if it weren't for Keith behind the scenes, encouraging and coaching and helping me out as we together went through these times. And he wrote out mission statements and of course, for those of you who remember John May, he volunteered 4 or 5 days a week for years and years. And Alexa Howell and others who just gave themselves to the work. Betty Calderwood, even today, from her home in Sterling, Kansas, does things most every day for the seminary. Those of you who've given financially, those of you who have prayed for us, you are as important as any other member of the team. I played team sports, basketball, football, baseball. Everybody has a role to play. And you have your role to play as those who pray for us and give as you are able. My family, my children have been with me to support me at every step. My sisters are here. My sister-in-laws are here. Their husbands are here. Tremendous support from the family. My wife of 50 years, less 2 months and 1 day. June 21st, we'll celebrate 50 years. She is without doubt my chief counsel and my number one prayer support, just praying for me. You men, no, I won't tell that story. I've got to finish. Thank you for honoring me tonight. I want to close reminding you, if any of this is true, it's only by God's grace. It's only by God's mercy. If he can take the likes of me and use me for kingdom purposes, we are truly blessed. It's a night I will always remember, and I treasure the friendships of all of you in this room. A special thanks tonight to Kim Backenstow. Where's Kim? And to Mark Sampson and to Sharon Sampson. And to the board for making this a very special evening. To God alone be the glory.